As promised, we're going to be focusing on the ECU and where to mount it, which will probably involve a bit of shilly-shallying with putting the fuel tank in temporarily just to see how the seat actually sits before the sparks start flying, because we're going to cut off, I think we're going to be brave actually, I think we're just going to go straight away for that seat cut and take that whole back frame off. And that's going to look really cool. You can imagine that without a back frame. That's going to look pretty neat. So I'm thinking that if I mount the ECU upside down, I don't know if there's any rules against that, I'll check that out. But should be able to put a little bar across from those existing seat mounts, and that will hold the front end in. Might not even need a box. And then the back end will probably line up perfectly with this little cross member across there. So that'd be sweet. So I'm going to just test out my theory. Now I've got a little bit of Meccano, very useful if you're old enough to remember what Meccano looks like. So I'm going to drill that hole out a little bit so I can get the bolt through it, and then another hole there. I'm just going to strap that up at the front, and then we'll see how it lines up at the back. I'm using these original mounting bolts because they got that nice rubber suspension which just stops the ECU getting jarred from a rigid mount, and you can see that fits quite nicely in there, so that might work. Let's see if it lines up at the back. Sadly not quite, so we're going to have to do a little bit of adjustment there, but I'm sure we can work that one out. What we might end up doing here, because as you can see the seat comes way back here, so maybe whatever we do to mount the back of the ECU is going to turn into something that comes further back, and maybe we're going to kind of mount the brake light about here where that bit comes in. And with that in mind, I might not be so gung-ho when I chop this, because that bit there is maybe where we want to chop it to start with, or even in a line here. So we've got these bolts here as well. That said, I really want the seat to be like the last thing, so I really kind of want the brake light around here at the end of the ECU, or even underneath it. There's plenty of space down here, room in here to hang a brake light, and there's those two little mounts there as well, which could come in handy. They're for the rear foot pegs, which will of course be totally redundant. I'm going to go back to the original plan and chop carefully. So today we're going to be doing some cutting, the sparks that I promised, which obviously involves safety goggles. We're going to start with the little box that was holding the toolkit, because we don't want the box, but this bracket obviously fits that mount perfectly, so we can use that for whatever we're going to fabricate, and I'm just going to hack that off. Having established the safest way to start chopping this up, we're going to take it off just here, leaving these two bolt holes in case they come in handy. And then on the lower one, I think I'm going to start here rather than where I've marked it, because again, I've got a couple of mounts there that might come in handy, and until I put the fuel tank back in, just in position so I can see where the seat ends up, we'll leave those bits intact. You can always take extra bits off, can't put them back on very easily. Didn't bother filming that because there's no sparks, so it's not very exciting. But I'm kind of most of the way through as far as I can get with the angle grinder, so I might just give it a smack with a rubber hammer, see what happens. Yep, that worked. If in doubt, give it a smack with a hammer. Obviously, if this was going to be the end result, I'd clean those up, but I'm not going to bother because this, although it looks a lot better and a lot shorter, it's not kind of the look I'm going for. Still got to decide whether I'm going to use that back bit, this bit here, these mounts, but I doubt it, so I'm probably going to take it off about here or maybe down here. We'll see. We'll see, but I like these mounts. Don't know what I'm going to use them for yet, but that's all part of the decision making. So never chop off more than you need to at any one point, because especially it being aluminium or aluminum, it's more difficult to weld it back on. While I've got the angle grinder out, I'm going to modify this Allen key because I need a really short stem to get into that mount for the steering damper that I'm not going to be using. This one here, can't get under it with a conventional Allen key or anything, to be honest. And if it doesn't play ball, I'm just going to cut the bloody thing off. Needless to say, the Allen key didn't work. I don't even know if it's the right size, to be honest. I guess I can find out now. But I decided just to chop the buggy thing off. As you can see, I'm not throwing any of this stuff away. I'm going to keep it up here because you never know when it might come in handy. Talking of which, all this shit that I took off is going on eBay. And so far, not that it will sell at the asking price, but so far that should bring in about $2,000. So that'll pay for a lot of nice new bits for this baby over here. So thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe to the channel. See you soon.